And a pleasant, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another broadcast here. Happy New Year, first of all, 2023. Joe Bowling with you, Kevin Naro, Ruben Rodriguez, as we are back at the Luke Freya show here on a Wednesday afternoon, first show of the 2023 portion of the current season that we're under. And that means it's right smack dab in the middle of basketball season. And again, Happy New Year to all involved. And guys, we had a little bit of a holiday break, but we were still busy during the holiday period. And some teams had breaks. Other teams overlapped the breaks, but we still had sports, and we had some good basketball that we covered, and exciting as we head into what we call the busy part of the year when all of the other sports are going to come into play.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody out there, and it's crazy to think that we're already in 2023, and, with that comes, the spring sports. We're knee-deep in basketball, boys and girls. Some teams have already started district. Some teams are fixing to start district later this week. And then you're looking at the soccer side of things. We have 2 tournaments later this week that we're going to get into, both in McAllen and in Brownsville. And then we're about less than 2 weeks away from softball, which means we're about 3 weeks away from baseball. So, this is going to be the busiest time of year, but I know for me, I'm recharged, I'm ready. It was a really good 2022 school year, or at least calendar year. The fall part of the season was a lot of fun. We certainly had a lot of games that we checked in, and certainly a lot of memories that we're going to remember as far as football goes. There was a couple of volleyball teams that made some pretty good runs. So now we're in phase 2 of the season, and I'm ready.
And here we go with basketball season. Ruben, you were at some good games last night. We're starting to get the definitions now in who the front runners are. Indeed, it was all speculation heading into the pre-districts, but now the districts are lining out. District games are starting, and some front runners are established, including one of our guests here in our show today.
That being the Harlingen South Hawks out of 32-5A. They had a rough time last year, but this year questions were, how are they going to compete in a longer district? Let's tell you, 10-8 overall season, 6-0 and 32-5A play, coming off a win against Donna last night, 56-35. This Hawk squad has just been on a mission. They've been running rapid throughout district. They'll have their hands full. They'll take on a tough Wesco East team who's bitter after that loss against Brownsville Pace over the holiday break. So Harlingen South, they're making a name for themselves. They're flying high in 32-5A, and let's see how the momentum carries on this Friday night's matchup.
And that's not just the only district that is starting to get the definition outline, Kevin. We talked about some speculation as we looked at some various districts on the boys and the girls side that this team should be there, this team should be there. Now it's a much more clearer picture on who the front runners are in a lot of these districts.
Yeah, last night and down in sticking in 5A over in the 31-5A, things are. I think it's really top half heavy when you have Edinburgh Vela, who Friday will be the last game of the first round of district play. And same thing with the 32-5A, that those 2 districts are, I think they're 9-10 team districts, so they started district a while back. So the current standings, Vela 8-0, Rose 7-1, Sherryland 6-2, McCallum Memorial 5-3, Pioneer Mackay at 4-4. So there's a lot to be decided in 5A. I do believe what we said at the beginning of the year, and it still holds true, that Vela, speaking on girls basketball, they're head and shoulders the number 1 team in the Valley this year. Emma Lucio put up 27 last night. Her and Janaea Coleman had double figures. Gigi Betancourt is a young point guard that I think we're going to be talking about in a few years. She came into her own last year as a freshman. She had to grow up really quick because I know Lauren Vega, who was a senior last year, she got hurt and came down with an injury, and Gigi really had to step in and fill that role. And mind you, she's playing with Emma Lucio on one side and Janaea Coleman on another, Carson Hackerod on the other side, and then Faye Vasquez. So she was a freshman, having to step in, and I know there's that level of competitiveness, especially with a player like Lucio and Coleman, that they expect you to produce now. If you're going to be on the floor, you're going to be starting 5 now, they're going to expect you to produce, and they're going to expect you to play at that varsity level, and players and coaches will understand what that means. But I think she's going to be a real key down the stretch from the point guard position. McAllen Rose 7-1, their only loss was to Vela. Sherryland's like the feel-good story this year on the girls' side. Last year, they haven't been in the playoffs in 6 years. The last few years, they've always finished in the 5th spot, a half a game back. And keep in mind that last year, this team won 6 district games. This year, they've won 6 district games with 1 more to go. and they're playing Sherryland on Friday night at Sherryland, and that's they're playing Sherryland Pioneer at Sherryland Friday night, and that's a team that's just been decimated by injuries. Coach, forgive me, Nicole Villarreal Sandoval, she's really taking it in the teeth. She's been, the injuries have really hurt this team. 2 weeks ago against McCallum Memorial, they were in that ball game, but she didn't have much coming off her bench, because she's about 8 or 9 girls dressing up at a varsity level at a 5A. That's not good. So I'm hoping that they can get healthy, and maybe they can get healthy at the right time. They're 4-4 right now, Pioneer is, but Sherryland for them, they're a senior heavy group, and this is kind of where they expect it to be. And the fact that they've already matched their win total in district with one more game left, and then a whole second round left. And let's be honest, you feel that Sherryland can double that because they'll get the wins against, the PSJ Memorials, the Southwests, the Valley Views. Mac High, they grinded out a 5-point win yesterday. So McCallum Memorial, another team, they're currently in 4th. So that's how close it is. You have McCallum Memorial at 5-3, and you have Pioneer and Mac High both at 4-4.
Yes.
So there's a lot to be decided. Talking with Coach Arnold Torres on the flip side, and talking about Harlingen South girls, they're 6-1, but they're looking up at Brownsville Veterans, who's 8-0. And you and I know as well as anybody that just last year, they lose Kit Kat, and they lose Bri Bituria. They lose both those girls, and yet this team is still 8-0, and they're atop that district. So that's just a testament to that program and to what Coach Torres is doing. And then on the bottom side, you're looking at Lopez 5-3, Ed Couch 5-3, Mercedes 4-4. So, again, there's a lot to be decided with both those districts in 5A. 6A, they're fixing to start this week.
Yep.
31 6A is going to start on Friday. 32 6A also starts on Friday. And it's what is it? Full throttle from the word go in 32 6A.
It really is. We talked about it, and before basketball season began, we were like, Harlingen, it may not be just a death grip on first place in that district for them or Westaco, because we had teams that we thought might be better in Los Fresnos. We did not circle San Benito being as good as they are, but yet, as that district starts out, Kevin, it is wide open on the girls' side.
It really is, and it's just going to hinge on how healthy Westlaco can be. If Morgan Perales is healthy, and I haven't checked with Coach Fino yet, but if she plays Friday and she stays healthy, I believe Westlaco is the favorite to win that district. Now, I've told people as much as far as yesterday, I said if Harlingen is not careful, if they're not careful, they can slide to a 3, maybe even a 4, because San Benito's coming and they're dangerous. They're young. They got a chip on their shoulder. We got to see them at the Wiseman, last month. They're very young. They're sophomore, junior heavy. They can shoot. I still believe, I can see Harlingen sweeping them, and it's like, okay, cool, good. That's what they're supposed to do. But, if they sweep them or if they split with them, it's like, okay, maybe. Los Fresnos, they're up and coming. I think they're, 21 wins already? 21-6?
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. 21-5. So Los Fresnos is going to be there in the mix with what they have, Olivia Parra. Names are just running through my head right now, but I certainly know they have the talent to make a run in that district. And last year they beat Harlingen for the first time, I think, since maybe 2011, 2012.
It was 10. It was when they played that one time. It was 5 days after 10 years of the date.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah,
and so even as it begins with this week, with the first games, the legitimate district games, it puts a lot of importance on how you start district play this time around. It's not get through the first round and then let's make some noise in the second round.
Right.
You better get going early on, or you're going to find yourself in a deep hole.
Well, see, I don't like 6-team districts. In fact, I hate them. 4-team districts, even worse. But thank God that's only in football. But when you look at the 6-team districts, that means you have 10 district games. Mm-hmm. So when you bring up the fact that in a district like this, there's not a lot of room for error.
Nope.
So if you start 0-2, if you start 0-1, that second game is just about as a must-win as any other, because you can't afford to fall behind the 8 ball, especially when you're looking at a district like 32-6A, which it's much smaller, but I feel that the level of competition has stepped up with San Benito coming into the mix, playing a lot better, Los Fresnos and Harlingen, and then, of course, you have Westlaco. So it's going to be a very interesting district to see how it plays out, and I think Harlingen needs this one more than Westlaco does, because traditionally, I mean, I know Harlingen swept Westlaco last year. In fact, they beat them 3 times because they even beat them in the seeding game. But I think, for their psyche, for where they're at right now, that team's looking for answers. And I think if they can start off district with a win at home, that would carry on longer for them in the long run. I think Westlaco will be just fine. And if they do lose, that could be their only loss. But, I mean, it's going to be really good.
We could dive even further into that as we continue on. We do have some guests here. I want to run down some numbers for you, my friends. We are doing this broadcast here today on our YouTube and Facebook, which is traditionally where we rolled things out with Rio Sports Live back in 2017. Now as we enter into the 2023 year, again, everything is gearing towards our applications. And when I talk about applications, I'm talking about on the television side, on Roku television. That is a very active place where people are watching the games now. I know we just did a tournament up in the Coastal Bend, and we got a lot of viewers that started signing on from the Coastal Bend and from San Antonio and teams outside of the Rio Grande Valley. Also on the app, on your phone app, if you haven't done so already, please load our app on your device, whether it's Apple, whether it's Android, because the numbers are growing, and that's where the games are gearing towards. Live broadcasts such as this show we'll continue to do on Facebook and YouTube, and promotional stuff we'll end up doing there. But the games are all rolling into our apps. But just to give you an idea, from September through December, which is when the school year really got rolling with our broadcast. On Roku television alone, 3,588 installs, and we're getting an average of 215,000 views per month coming in on our Roku channel alone. The unique website visits monthly is now at 91,000. So people are going to our website. They are checking out games on our website. They're checking out a lot of the articles that Ruben is writing now. We're gearing up with some more information that's coming on our website. But right now it's sitting about 91,000 visits per month. On our unique players within that website, we have 73,560 views coming just on the players on our webpage, and that's monthly. How about YouTube and Facebook? What did we do in the past 4 months? 1,400,000 views on YouTube and Facebook on Rio Sports Live. And this is me saying thank you to all the fans as we start our 2023 year. It's some big numbers. On the app, already installed on the app, we have over 3,600 installs on Apple and Android, and that's with just a word of mouth. Pass it along. Let's get the app installed. And right now we are getting an average app usage of 20,989. Just nearly 21,000 people are using the app on a monthly basis. And so the numbers are growing on Rio Sports Live. I know fans are saying, oh, where can we find the games? Where can we find the games? We're going to get better at showing the schedules and showing where you can watch these games and the scheduling part of that. But the numbers are there, and we do thank the fans as we get things rolling. We got Coach Molina standing by, and we're going to be talking a little basketball on the Harlingen South side. Are they the surprise, or are they exactly where he expected to be? We'll find those questions out and more coming up after this on our Luke Faria Show from Brownsville, Texas, Rio Sports Live.
We're the South Miami Cougars, and you're watching Rio Sports Live.
Come visit our new store in downtown Harlingen.